Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever the hell it is. So Stevie Nicks and I are on the last leg of our journey and the final episode of this little series. And then random question, what do you guys think of my hair? On this little adventure, a friend of mine saw an Instagram story that I posted about traveling, right? And like, oh my gosh, I'm near that same area. So we met up and we dyed hair. With that being said, it's kind of red, it's kind of weird, but it works. One of the reasons I wanted to stay in this area just a little bit longer is because something was drawing me towards this national monument, right? Stevie and I just kind of like landed here by accident, but something was telling me to dig deeper, to dive deeper. And so dig deeper and dive deeper I did. We've got a notebook. And little did I know that the history and the things that I would discover was something that's kind of fascinating, and it kind of helped explain why I felt this draw towards this monument, right? So this monument, if you guys ever want to go there, I highly recommend it. It's super cool. It's the Montezuma Castle. So the Montezuma Castle, it was built by the Sinagua people. Now, please keep in mind, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing all of this correctly. So anyway, so the Sinagua people are very closely related to the Hohokam, right? And they're, once again, Native American tribes. So Hohokam, it's a Pima language term for all used up or exhausted, which is kind of funny because I feel like that is like my mood these days. I'm just exhausted. So they were actually the only culture in North America to rely on irrigation canals to supply water to their crops, right? They had to adapt to desert living, because if you've ever lived in the desert, it's crazy, right? They had to adapt to desert living by modifying their surroundings and using what was around them. This shows that in life, it's important for us to adapt to our surroundings, right? For some basic examples, if we're cold, we put on a jacket. If we're hungry, then we eat. If we're tired, then we sleep, right? Every single challenge life throws at us, it has a solution, right? It's a matter of finding that solution. Back to the Hohokam people, they adapted in order to survive. If they needed clothes, they would use animal hides. If they were hungry, they would grow crops or hunt, right? If they needed water, they'd build irrigation canals. However, the Hohokam people eventually just like abandoned most of their settlements, right? They just left. History believed it was a drought that made it incredibly difficult to survive, so it wasn't for lack of trying, they just realized it was a lot harder than they expected. They were faced with a challenge, and they had to find a solution, right? That solution may not have been the most ideal solution, because ultimately they'd want to stay there and keep living in a home that they've lived in for generations and generations, right? However, they had to make the difficult solution to relocate. It wasn't an easy solution, but it was a solution. Please forgive Stevie munching in the background. Anyway, I don't know about you, but it could not have been easy to have left your home behind, right? To leave everything that you knew, everything that you loved behind, because if you didn't, you would die, right? You could eventually starve or die of thirst, right? But to leave all of that behind, something that you've known for your entire life, that couldn't have been easy, right? And this goes to show that in life, once again, when bullet after bullet after bullet is thrown at us, there is always a solution to a challenge. We have to find it, and we have to recognize it may not always be what we want, right? Like for me, finding a solution to the issue that I kept falling down into this toxic cycle and this toxic spiral, the only solution that I really had was to stop whatever I was doing and break the cycle. And I didn't want to. It was not ideal to shut down my business after my newspaper article, my book being published, my bachelor's degree, and just thing after thing after thing after thing. You know, it wasn't ideal to shut down my business and everything I had known, but at the end of the day, it was a solution to a challenge, right? It may not have been ideal, but it helped make a solution. And now I'm over here as Wilde Child, just kind of like living life just how it is. Life is shit, but there's always a solution to it, right? For me, horse training was my escape from the world. I loved seeing the transformation, but I'll tell you right now, horse training is not for everyone. For me, I didn't struggle with the horse side of it because the horses I know super well. I can work with horses all day long. For me, I struggled with the people, right? Because unfortunately, some people, there's only so much you can do to please people or make people happy, right? That horse may have made a massive, wonderful transformation, but at the end of the day, one of the things that I struggled with was that the owners didn't always want to actually work with their horse. They were just like, oh, well, you fix it. And then the horse, goes back to the same bad habits because they're learning the same thing from the same person, because that person never took the time to learn, right? And so for me, that was one of the biggest things that exhausted me with horse training, but at the same time too, it was my escape from reality. Being able to train horses and see this massive transformation, it helped me with my life. When my life was exploding, I'd throw myself into my work, right? Because my work was my life. Seeing the transformation in all these horses was my life, but at the end of the day, it was actually taking more out of me than it needed to be. So my solution was shutting down Bitless and Bareback. With that being said though, another solution that I've come up with now, I am still taking on client horses, but I am only taking on the most aggressive of the aggressive, right? Because my heart lies in the aggressive horses, the horses that everyone else has given up on, the horses that don't have a future and that there's no hope for. So those are the only horses that I'm choosing to take on. And, you know, some people think that's absolutely crazy, which it is, but that's where my heart lies. So instead of pouring my heart and my soul and all of my energy into client after client after client, I'm in all of these horses that did have a future, that did have a home, that did have a life, right? I decided I'm not training full-time anymore. I'm only going to be training the worst horses, the horses that don't have a home, that don't have a future. Because I remember being that little kid and everyone thought I wasn't gonna make something of myself, and here I am. I have made a wonderful life for myself, right? And that's why I am so close to the cause of helping horses in need instead of horses that always have a future. And on top of that too, I want to build my circus. I've got 5 wonderful horses, and we're building a circus. We're learning trick riding and aerial silks, and you know, at the end of the day, that is where Wilde Child is going, right? We started off as Bitless and Bareback Equestrian, working horse after horse after horse, pulling 80, 90-hour work weeks just because I was helping the horses. And yes, while I was helping the horses, at the same time, I was leaving nothing left for myself. I cannot give my all to the horses if I have nothing left to give. So I found a solution to this problem of years and years and years of a toxic, bad cycle, right? It may not have been the most ideal solution because again, I didn't want to shut down my business, but at the end of the day, looking back on it, I realized just how much it did impact my life because I'm so happy, I'm so fulfilled, and I've chosen to appreciate every single moment like it could be my last, because it could be. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's right for you. You can't give everything to others and leave nothing for yourself. With that being said, it is just about time for Stevie Nicks and I to hit the road and start headed home. I don't know about y'all's, but when I'm away from my horses for like a night, I start missing them. I've been away for like 4 nights. So I kind of really miss them. Huge thank you to the people who are taking care of them though. Your paychecks will probably be in the mail like Friday. Anywho, so now we are going to have the nice long journey back home now that we've kind of gone on this getaway to explain where the hell we've been and what to expect from here on out. We made it home. They are all alive and breathing as expected. I cannot tell if they missed me. Can you? It feels so good to be back home. And so we are actually going to close off this video series. Go check out parts 1 and 2 as well, with a poem that I wrote while we were on the road. And so this poem is called Losing You. And this is meant for someone that kind of sparked this journey and sparked this adventure and helped me kind of find myself. So, you told me you loved me, that I was perfect in every way. You told me I made your life whole, that we'd be together forever. You told me you never let anyone harm me, that my days of hurt were over. Everything you told me was an ocean of lies drowning me in my sleep. I saw the red flags, but collected them like a child collects Easter eggs. I knew you were lying, but something inside of me wanted so badly for it to be real. I saw the best in you, and you gave me the worst. I told myself it was real, that you were different than the others. I told myself I could help you, but conquering your demons was not my responsibility. I told myself I could trust you even though I saw where the road would lead. My desperate pleas for someone to want me, for someone to stick around, led me to chasing tornadoes rather than seeking shelter. I lied to myself just as much as you did. And chasing a dream of being wanted, I lost sight of my value. In the end, you ripped my heart out, threw it on the floor, and danced on it like a wild banshee. You left, just like I expected. You left like my family once did. You left like my best friend did. You left like everyone else I worked so hard to trust. But in you leaving me, like one leaves their dirty laundry out, I learned to stay for myself. Everyone always leaves, so I stopped waiting for someone to stay. I stopped waiting for someone to want me and learned to want myself. My hazel eyes and hidden freckles, the curves that always attract the wrong crowd, the draw towards the adrenaline rush of a near-death experience. Other people's approval didn't matter, as they were just like you, not planning to stay for the long haul. No one ever wanted me, as I was the trash they'd leave on the curb. You were the last person I ever sought acceptance from, and I thank you for that. In losing you, I embraced my true self. My wild side broke free, and my spirit became untamable. Thank you for leaving, because in losing you, I found myself. Well, my friends, I really hope that you enjoyed this little video series as Wilde Child makes a comeback. I know it may not be exactly the comeback you all wanted, as, Bitless and Bareback Equestrian was the big thing. But anyway, so I hope you all really enjoyed this. If you have not already, please hit the like and subscribe button. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, our YouTube, obviously. Our podcast available wherever you listen to podcasts. And all of that can be found on our website as well. The link is going to be in the description. So don't forget to check us out. And we hope to see you, each and every one of you, a lot more. So yeah, it's good to be back.